In this example, we're going to look at what it means to rewrite an equation in terms of a function of x. Then we're going to look at what it means to evaluate it at a certain value, and what it means to determine an implied domain and then use interval notation to write that domain. So first and foremost, notice I have this big long equation here and it has to be unscrambled. So if we look at the first part as being rewriting the equation, I would always start by writing down what you have. So we had 4x minus 5y is equal to 2x squared plus 7y minus 1. Now the first thing you always want to do before you get started is you always want to double check that what you just wrote down was the equation you actually had. So take a quick glance back through what was printed and what you wrote to make sure you didn't write any of your signs in the wrong places. So now in order to rewrite this, essentially what it means is that we are looking at having f of x equals your expression. Well, in order to make that in terms of x, what it means is that this is going to be the y's on one side, the x's to the other. Okay, so here we need to rearrange in order to make that happen. So there's a few ways that you can do this. It's completely up to you, but you just essentially have to rearrange. So let's go ahead and have fun. I'm going to take this y here and I'm going to move it to the other side. Since I'm adding, to move it says subtract. So this then says I'm going to take this x and I'm going to move it to the other side. Because it's positive, again, I have to subtract. So this is going to become negative 12y is equal to 2x squared minus 4x minus 1. Now I need to get y by itself, so I have to divide everything by the negative 12. So we get that y is equal to negative 2 over 12 x squared. This becomes a plus because minus over minus, so this is 4 over 12 x, and then again plus, and it becomes 1 over 12. I need to reduce, and remember your y becomes f of x. 2 over 12 becomes negative 1 over 6 x squared. 4 over 12 becomes plus 1 over 3x, and then plus 1 over 12. Okay, so this right here was the first thing that we were looking for as your function of x. Now the second piece wants us to evaluate at negative 3. So when we're looking at the second part, this says that x equals negative 3. So anywhere you have an x value here becomes negative 3. So f at negative 3 is going to have 1 over 6 times my negative 3 squared. And then I'm going to have plus my 1/3 times negative 3 plus 1/12. So we need to go ahead and combine and reduce. So 3 squared is 9, so this becomes negative 9 over 6. My positive and negative becomes minus. 3 over 3 is 1, and then I have plus 1 over 12. 9 over 6 is going to reduce here to negative 3 over 2 plus 1 plus 1 over 12. Now to add these says we need to have a least common denominator, which in this case is going to be 12. So here what we're actually going to get is negative 18 over 12 plus 12 over 12 plus 1 over 12. Sorry, minus. So what we really have here is we really have negative 18 minus 12 plus 1 all over 12, which is going to give us negative 29 over 12, and that was your evaluation. Now the last thing we have to do here is we have to find the implied domain and to do that says that we have to go back to the equation we were looking at. So in other words, to find the implied domain says we have to look back at the equation that we have here. And so notice this is a quadratic. So when we're talking about your domain of a quadratic, you will use the entire number line. What this means is that your implied domain is called all real numbers. You might see it as this funky letter R, but it's called all real numbers. And the reason for that is because when we look at x squared, even though we have this other stuff to it, there is never going to be a place within this equation here where we are going to have a problem. Meaning there's no place where we're ever going to be dividing by 0 or trying to evaluate with a negative underneath a radical. Therefore, your implied domain here is that all real numbers are going to work, meaning all x values will give you a result here. So your domain is going to be negative infinity to positive infinity. So I hope this helps with being able to rewrite your functions and find implied domains. If you have any questions at all, please be sure to let me know. If you have a problem that you're trying to work out for yourself and you're stuck, let me know that too. I'd be more than happy to try and help you out with those. Otherwise, I do hope you enjoyed this short video, and I look forward to seeing you next time.